Bunny's Designs, and this is part 3 or 4, I think, of the Harry Potter Magical Places and Characters colouring book. And this is Hagrid's little cottage, stone cottage, and he's actually just sitting there. But because I've got it in the right position for zooming in, I just wanted to show. So I've worked on the stones first, and the other bit's I've used a little damp brush over the top after I've used the blending tool, and it seems to kind of set it so that it works quite well. So this bit's been set. This is not been set, but it's been blended, and then this is just the pencil marks ready to be blended. So we're in 3 different stages. So to stop this smudging, I may want to go in there and play a bit more, so I'm not going to use the damp brush yet. I'm going to try and work with a piece of, this is actually tracing paper. It's almost like jelly paper. Greaseproof paper is good, so it means as long as you don't smush it about, you can actually put your hand on it and still work. So I gathered some colours that I've used for this section of the roof, and used at the back of the colour books. These have got some nice photographs in, so you can get some really nice colours and see what you're doing. So I've guessed roughly that just about here is all this, and there's no particular tile showing through. So I've used the same colours. So I'm going to blend that and see what happens. And I'm using this, I have no idea where I got it from. Royal Sovereign is probably, I don't think it's a professional make. I'm not sure where I got this from, but it's a colour shaper, Royal Sovereign UK Limited. I'll zoom in and then we might be able to see that a little bit better. So I'll leave it there, that's not so bad. So here we've got the Royal Sovereign Limited UK. It's a colour shaper and it's a firm taper point number 6, and basically it's almost like a soft eraser. Now I do have a little set from the works, and that's kind of really squishy, and I think they're too squishy. The only one I use is this one because it's kind of tapered to a point. So if you've got the crease in the book, you can actually get to it, or a very fine space. I will probably be buying some more of these if I find some, but I really want to kind of pick them up and hold them before I buy anything else. So I'm getting quite choosy in my old age. The other thing I've got handy is my little pot and a baby wipe, and so I stroke to get this clean, which gets the kind of loose off. I've got to be a bit careful because I have an electric socket just there. And then what I tend to do is kind of just rub with the thumb or the finger, and an amazing thing happens. It almost cleans itself. Now I don't have any whites here, but if I had any very light highlights, that's what I would use it for. So I've put some colours down. I just probably want a touch more green, I think. Just fancy just in this section here is just a little bit more green. So I thought I would just kind of and you don't think you'll notice it, but you do. It's like a little bit of terracotta in there. You do notice that almost little bit of scribble. blow the dust away. There isn't very much. So the more you scratch down, the more you waste, and the more you have to blow away. So if you kind of just stroke, I mean, I was actually scribbling down fast, but if you just stroke the surface, you're putting a light dusting down. And if I remember to do that, there isn't as much dust. And you're not wasting any. And then I'm just going to go in the lightest areas first. This would be good to have a practice on photocopy paper. And first, because then you can get used to the blending. And I've never done blending before, and I'm not sure this is how you do it. I've made this up because it's easy for me. This is the way I want to colour certain books. There are some books that are so thin that you can't really use too much water, even a damp brush. And yet I love the pastel colours. And now I've got the set of quite dark colours. Then it's quite nice because I can have some vibrant colours in especially the Bennett Klein books. But then, because I was quite shocked that I couldn't use my watercolour pencils on my Inktense. But actually, as a watercolour, I can use them just as a pencil. But then you'd have to blend, and my idea of blending is not using that because my hands are not normally very good. So I had the seal, which is P660, and it's quite a dark one, is this. I'll try and keep the silly thumb out of the way. And again, it's not a quick way, but I can see enough going on as quick as I want to be, if that makes any sense. The other one I was using was there's actually a French grey dark, but I like the indigo, which is a very dark blue, and it's a cold blue, so it gives quite a nice shadow. It's not a brown, it's not a warm blue, so it kind of lends itself quite nice. And what we can start thinking of now is that little bit more so welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. And because it's a live show, it's not recorded, it's recorded in HD, but you can't upload in HD unless you pay. And I think it's £100 a month or something. I wouldn't swear to it. Now the good news is that I am up to 550 subscribers, so thank you to all my YouTube subscribers, and I'm so in awe of the fact that you actually want to listen to me droning on with my little pencil sets. But thank you for watching, and if you like the videos, or if you want to see anything else, or if there's something that you've seen that I don't go into detail with, because I've got a bit of short-term memory loss, so sometimes I go off on a tangent. I'd noticed I start a sentence and I never finish it, so apologies for that. I think it's to do with the fibro thing. It affects different things, so apologies for that, but hopefully you can get a little bit of something out of it. And if not, just turn the sound down, put some favourite music on and watch for an hour or so. I don't tend to do that because I'm too nosy. I like to know what's going on. Oh, excuse me. So I quite like this now. It's a little bit greener and it's very much darker than the other one. And again, that terracotta, there's only 5 spots, but that's worked quite well. So if I zoom out, and this is a good idea to go and have a cup of tea or a coffee and then come back and look at it, because you see it with fresh eyes. It's always good to do that. If you're looking at something and think, oh, I really don't like that, and think, but it's going to be such a difficult thing to change, just go away, have a coffee, take the dog for a walk, go have a bath, come back, or put it away till tomorrow. And then when you open it up, you think, oh, I actually like that. And it's amazing. You can actually like something the day before you hated. So it's really good. And a lot of artists do that. A lot of artists do that. So I'll just pan out very carefully so you can see the difference in the roof. And apologies for the crinkle. So if I lift that up, you can see the whole page. And I tend to put my pencils handy in order of light and dark if I'm doing a big space. So when you look at it like this, it might want either lightening up a bit or that wants to be darkened up a bit, but I'm going to leave it because I'm now going to put all that dark in. And when I put all that dark in, these are going to pop out, and then I'm going to do the foreground last. That's how I'm going to tackle it. So it's going to be a couple of hours, I think, to do the background. And again, now I've got some really dark on there because it is quite a nice dark. It's what I've used. I've used the same dark as well in the same picture. That's another thing. So you get some continuity. So some of these darks here will be this lagoon indigo. And under here, so the very, very darks are always going to be the same because that draws your drawing together, your colours together. So you can see that dark is still about because it's a dark space. And everything has bright colour if it's got bright light. If it hasn't, it's dark. And all this wood is all going to give you the same dark space. All the shadows will be the same because they're all kind of stony, kind of bricky kind of shapes. But because that's quite dirty now, I'm just going to roll that on my baby wipe. Sorry, there's a little dog, and you see most of it will come off because you've got to remember to do this, because if you then transfer it over here, it will smudge. You've got to think about, oops, I've lost the baby wipe on the floor, sorry about that. So there's going to be a crinkle. Sorry, I have to get another one out, so there's going to be another crinkle. Unfortunately, what goes on the floor stays on the floor at the moment. There we go. So that's going to be my new best friend now. You've got to be careful not to put it anywhere near the ends of your pencils because obviously it will just take the colour off. So has anybody got any questions? Let me just see if I can just gently put that to there. There. So it is a little bit darker, but I can darken this one up. Mainly at the bottom, at the front here, there was kind of a bit more green. I'll do it now just to give that a little bit more perspective. Otherwise, it'll look like a different roof, and we don't really want that. I think I was going to take an olive colour up here. Tend to put a bit more green in. There's some quite nice olives in this colour as well, and there's some nice shadows. So of course I don't really have a lot of the shadows, So they can go in a bit. Just want to get a little bit more definition. You could do to really be a bit more precise, but apologies. The thumb has decided it's not going to be connected to the rest of me. So, you know, you can pick out some really nice spaces, and you just want a little bit of a light touch. So that grey really is hidden under some dark moss. In fact, it's a bit naughty of Hagrid because, you know, he's tall enough. He could just reach over and scratch that off and make sure that his little roof never gets mossed up. He's obviously not done that. Typical bachelor. Right, so just a little bit of that, and we're just going to see what that does. It might just, again, add that little bit of something. And a lot of pastelists do this because the colours are very vibrant and very intense. Because it's, as I said before, it's almost pure pigment. So you don't need a lot, whereas the cheapy paints in watercolours that the kids get, you know, you can be grinding for hours and you're just going to get a little bit of colour, and there's all sorts of yuckiness in there as well. But when you get a nice set of watercolours, you don't need very much. So quite like that little bit of area there. So it's darkened it up a little bit, and it won't be long before I can bring that up. But if we look on here, you know, that's a smaller area and it's set back, so it is going to be a bit darker anyway. So that's why we're going for it. And again, remember to clean the little. I used to spin it like this, and I found it hurts my hands. So what I have it on actually on the desk, and the pressure of the desk cleans it for me. That's how I normally clean it. And I've just got to remember, I've got so many electric wires everywhere. Could be electrocuted. Right. So I think I'm going to put these colours away because I've got quite a few out and I don't really like them out too much. So I'm going to put them away, and then I'm going to get the colours for the backgrounds out, because here we've got the same greens and browns, and then some three or four greens, I think. So if you bear with me a little bit. Now I do like to put them in order purely because it's easier. And if I just pop that on there. Again, I do like this. I just flip these over. They're so easy to use. And then these little sleeves go into the little bag. And again, I really like that. And I like them being in order just purely because I know where they are. That's the basic reason. So we want the 30 there. So that would be that. Because you end up with all the pencils everywhere, and then the kind of are everywhere. So, and then hopefully soon my my new desk will be sorted, and then it'll be a lot easier to use. So those are the old ones. And not only are they in numerical order, they're kind of in colour order as well. So if you want two colours very near to each other, it's easier to find them because they are basically already in the order. So the olive greens are all together, and again, I just find that a little bit easier. And this is my original set. And these are 8mm of strip colour, so they're quite nice. I'm still trying to find some more of these, but I'm not doing very well. This is an old set, so I've got to be it would help if I could count. There we go. So I need my little piece of paper. Oh, hi Karen, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm working on the Harry Potter, so I've done a little roof. I'm going to look for some colours. I'm going to start at this side and work across. So if we look here, we need, there seems to be some smoke, but there's a little bit of smoke there, so we'll put that in last. So we need the same colours are here, but not as vibrant. So we could do with, if we look at the greens, they're kind of almost a fake green, if you can say fake green. Don't think we need any pale colours at the moment. I think they're going to be all these called proper greens. And again, because these are pure colour, you can look at the end and see the colour you want. Excuse me. So we want, I think we want this. There's kind of there's quite a brightish green, so we've got this one, and then we want its highlight, and that's its highlight, and then we want its low light, its shadow, and actually that's worked out quite well. There's 3 there, and that's worked out quite well. I'm going to take that indigo out because I like that indigo here. I like that as a dark, and then we could do with possibly some pale fawn browns now. I don't really want an olive because the olives are warm and these are a bit colder. So we can pop that over there and then have a look at the browns. And I say I'm actually looking at the edges here because this is almost pure pigment. So we've got, we kind of want a very warm brown. Is this? Yes, it's a very warm brown. And then that was here. So next to it could possibly be its highlight. It's almost a pinky brown, is that one actually? It's not a reddy brown, but it's a bit of a pinky brown. Here we've got 3, and then maybe a darker one. That one is French dark grey. It's too cold. I don't want that. I want a chocolate. Chocolate would be probably good at this time. Let's have a look at this one. That's quite nice. That one's called Burnt Carmine, and then we've got the chocolate here. So I read upside down. Yes, I kind of like the chocolate. So we've got 4 browns, and we've got 3 greens. I could possibly maybe do with another green. I may just take that pea green. There's a pea green. Maybe it's not pea. Maybe it's actually Not that. Just want a paler green. This one. I've only been using these a few weeks, but you get used to. See, just the tiniest amount on there. There's a bit of a highlight. You get used to the colours, and you know, I've only been using them a couple of weeks, and already I've realised that I like certain ones for certain things. So it doesn't take long. Even though there's 72, it doesn't take long. So if anybody else has got any questions, pop them in caps, because that'll teach me to look across. So I'm actually going to leave that, so I need to keep that here. So what I could do is just to completely make sure that I don't, I'm sorry about the crunchiness of that. I'm actually going to put, if I put it into there, it should hold it in place. If I can possibly get my hands to work. And then that will make sure that I'm not going to forget. Now most of this isn't set, but this is, so again, apologies for the noise. I'm actually using tracing paper, but I'm not destroying it. I can use it as tracing paper. I'm just temporarily using it in my colour books. And so again, you can pop that one underneath. That's going to make sure. This is mainly set. I think I set all that. I'm pretty sure I did. So I've got my little piece of paper here. So I've got a few little colours here that I was playing about with. I've got this to have a look. So first of all, this is going to be the biggest, lightest tree. I could start with that one possibly. So let me get my colours in order. I'll show you what I'm doing if I zoom in. So I get the palest one, and it kind of goes red. This is going to be the darkest shadow, and then the leaves are pale to dark. It's just whether these two, it's not much in it, but that would be quite nice, that, because that means those two are almost next to each other. So I've got all the colours here and the blending tool. So I know if I want a really darky bit, I go there. If I want a really light bit, I go there. If I want a light green, I'm at this end. And if I want to get a really dark green shadow, I'm at that end. And that just makes it's a bit quicker. It's instead of having to fiddle through a tray of pencils, which would drive, I love the sound of it and I love them to crinkle, but you're also damaging your pencils when you do that. Or you can be, especially with these. I mean, they are very soft. So I like to be, you know, a little bit protective towards them, especially when they're new. Oh, thank you, Cindy. Oh, well, yes, you do need to go to sleep. Yeah, I'll still be poddling along a few hours later, I think. Have a good sleep and sleep well, darling. Good night. And thank you for that. So I shall zoom in and then we'll have a go there. This is kind of a mishmash. So again, I've got to reset the greens, but I'll do that when I do the front. And that's what I do with the colour pages. I have a little bit of a conflab with myself of what I'm going to tackle first. and I'm rather childish, you know. I want to do the front main bit first, and Hagrid I'll stay till last. So I'll zoom in and then we'll just see. If you can, it's kept that quite nicely. So if I go to this side here, I'll lift that up very carefully. It's easier to do this than the other. So what I'm going to do is actually move. I'm going to start in that top corner. And I'm going to do this tree first here. So it's darker at the top than it is at the bottom because obviously the light's coming through. So again, that's something else to think about. So if I put that here, I can see that. So I've got everything within this small space. Excuse me. As this unkind person gave me another cold today. And I'll just have a crunch on a mint for a moment, just to make sure I don't start coughing. So I'm just kind of putting and if we think logically, the light's coming kind of that way. The light's coming that way from the clearing. Oh, apologies, didn't mean to do that. So little tiny marks, that's basically what you're doing. And I think that's all for there. So I'll do this bit first at the top. You can't see a lot of this particular tree. I've just kind of put the idea that it's there. And if I move down here, and across, I've got my little reference here as well, so everything's really handy. You're just stroking this little kind of hard eraser, that's the best way I can describe it. It's called a shaper, and it's a firm one, so I would think actually an eraser would do if you didn't have a shaper. Cotton wool bud's quite good as well. Fingers are good for smudging. I quite like that effect. Just going to put, it kind of goes dark, almost with the chimneys it goes paler there, and I haven't got that paler, but it's just kind of a hint of a warm kind of glow. And I can just have a quick look in here and think, that's always a good one. You see, if you think as an artist, yellow ochre is always a good one to use in this situation. So we'll just kind of, but you've also got to remember this is a colour page and there isn't a lot of key to this. So sometimes you can get away with putting a little bit on top, but you won't get away with much. And then I think it's going to get a little bit darker as it goes down here. So if I'm guessing, I would say we're almost just staining the page rather than building colour up like you would with acrylics and watercolour. So I quite like that one. Now I need to get some greenery on there, and then I also need to really build up this dark, because this dark's got to follow through. So I'm going to start it as we go along, because I think that would be better than kind of doing it all at once. Maybe so. We'll try with the greenery first. And actually there isn't a lot of greenery. If we have a look, it's quite dingy down there. It's quite kind of dark and there's not much going on. So there's definitely some atmosphere there. So we've got the very dark one here. So I think I'm going to put more of the brown, and I wanted this one, didn't I, really? Yeah, I think I'm going to put this one in between each one, just to see how we get on. Of course you can lighten it up a little bit. It's your colour book. To coin a phrase, you are the boss of your own colour book, so you can do whatever colours you want. You don't have to do it the colours that are in the book. Just to warm that up very slightly, a little bit of brown, and I've gone over the stems, sorry, not the stems, the branches a bit, so. And then if there's any greenery, we can erase that later. In fact, probably a better way of doing it is to build up some background and then just show that what it looks like next to white. There's just a bit of colour on there because we want to see the trees. So now we have another bit of dark and then another. So I'm going to go back with these two colours. I like these two colours, the chocolate and the indigo. I thought the burnt carmine was darker and the chocolate, yeah. And then you've got to remember that it's getting a little bit lighter. Just warm that up very slightly, but some of the woods are very cool kind of shadows again, so that indigo look works quite well. So again, just the other thing I could have possibly done, which I should have done maybe, is to put some could have done that. I seem to have just knocked. Oopsie. Oh dear, I forgot to plug them. I thought they were all plugged in. Give me 2 seconds, otherwise we're all going to go dead in a dodo. It doesn't matter what you do during the day, before you start streaming, you always forget something. So sorry about that. Right, so if I take that up there, and you can see I've made a bit of a boo-boo there. I've gone across a little bit. So all I have to do is to take the magic, and this is like a mini drill actually, but you can actually rub it out like that, but it hurts me, so I just take that out. I'm going to take the whole lot out because I just and then if you want to really annihilate it, but I've blended that in, so there's what I call like just a little stain left, but it's still got the majority of it away, but it has left that stain. You won't get rid of that. If I hadn't have blended it, it would have come out, but I did blend it. But I can live with that, that's fine. So I kind of started working in the darker areas, which is these three here. It seems to have, the light seems to have gone. Oh, hi Suzanne. Oh dear. Yes, me too, Suzanne. I've had about an hour's sleep. Do you think that light could be better? For some reason now it's gone. The light's gone. Do you think that looks okay? I'm getting a bit paranoid now after having another complaint. So I'm trying to keep it as nice as possible. I hope that's in frame. It's not. Do you think it's? See if I can actually get the. That may be better. So I'm trying to work in sections. So again, I think this one gets a little bit that yellow ochre. This is burnt ochre, and that one's yellow ochre. They'd be quite nice to kind of smudge into here, I think, with a little bit of a warmy red. Kind of like some pinky warms in there. Oh, what did I say, Suzanne? Sorry. I'm a little bit. Oh dear. The one chair the only chair where I can honestly say I've been pain free to go on a rabbit dropping is they took me out in the garden last year. The one day I sat out. In England we don't get many days, and because I'm a shorty, my ankles hung over the edge, but it's quite padded, and it was a garden chair. It was a garden recliner. And because my ankles, like I said, were hanging over the edge, I just could not believe. I almost cried, and I said to them, I cannot believe I don't hurt anywhere. It didn't last long, but it was that's, and I even said to my husband, seriously thinking about bringing it into the lounge so that I can sit in it, because I cannot get comfortable. So that was quite a nice. I think it's because it's quite well padded. It's a very deep one. It's nearly 6, maybe 8-inch deep garden recliner. I've had it for years, and I could not believe how wonderful it was. I'm just gonna in. So is that what you meant, Suzanne, when I said that? Just pop out here. I'm hoping I'm getting a bit paranoid because, as I say, I've had another complaint, so I'm getting more paranoid and making the videos worse by messing about with them than just actually getting on. So I don't think I'm in focus there. Hopefully that's right. Let's see if we can find some writing. I've lost Sooty's little card. It's at the other side. I'm going to completely trash this room today, so that I can rearrange it, so that would be better. Excuse me, some kind person has given me another cold. Oh, sorry. I'm probably not going to have to let this record go out, because, like I say, I've had another complaint that the videos are really bad, but it's not HD, and I think that makes a difference. So I probably won't put this video out. So I'll have to see what happens, which is a shame, because I thought I quite liked this particular one. Has turned out quite okay for just smushing around. Right, so how long has this been? Right, so let's have a look. So I quite like that. I don't think you can see very much until you kind of get probably to here. Maybe that might be better. So I'm just going to carry on with this this indigo and a couple of dark colours. I like that one for the tree, so I'm not going to use that. I'm using burnt carmine and chocolate. The burnt carmine is quite nice, actually, so I've just got to remember to keep that on there just until I get going. Well, I turned the volume really down low this morning, so again, I don't know what this sounds like, because you can hear the scratching. Because this person had said that every video sounds like I'm in the toilet bowl, I thought the scratching of these pencils would be irritating. So I actually watched one, and the sound, you could hear the pencil, so I thought I'd turn it down a bit. And I'm trying not to let it bother me, but it's... although the wonderful news is I do have 550 subscribers, so when I get to 1,000 subscribers, you are allowed to upload in HD. So I may ask this person to subscribe and get 500 of her friends, and then I can upload in HD. But if I'm doing 5 hours of video some days to edit all that, and I don't actually think you can upload that size to YouTube, because she said could I edit maybe and then upload it all, and that's why I went to Ustream, because editing 10 minutes takes about 3 hours to upload to YouTube, whereas Ustream, it's the flick of a button. Now the advantages at the beginning are all my videos I put titles, I put credits, I thanked everybody for watching, so it's a bit more professional. But I could make 10-minute videos, that's it. So it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult. Excuse me. So I've turned it down a little bit, so hopefully you can still hear me, but you don't hear too much. But then I think, well, oh, she's picking on me, she's leaving somebody else alone, so I always think that. But never mind. I'm not sure if there's anybody else using pastel pencils, because I've just invented this way of doing it, so I don't know if anybody else is actually doing this, that she could go actually watch somebody else doing it. I would guess there's nobody else doing it using pastel pencils, but everybody does all sorts of things. You use what you've got, because normally artists use their artist supplies for doing professional kind of drawings and things rather than colouring in. But we'll see. I think this is a case of building it up. Might try a little bit of green now. So we've picked out 4 greens, and like I say, I put them on here so that I have them in kind of light order. So let's have a quick look at the reference. There doesn't seem to be any greens here at all, so that's a bit scary because they're all here. So that means it's all going to be dark, so I can use the dark ones. And again, I have noticed that the new set of pastels are a bit scratchier than the other ones, if that makes sense. So that would mean there is a slight difference between the 5mm and the 7mm of the colours. I noticed that straight away. You can hear them scratchy, whereas if I pull a green one out of the original set that I've had for 20 odd years, have a look for a bit of a... You can't hear this. This is like a pastel that you would hold in your hand. It's like a traditional pastel. That's how creamy this is. So actually I would say that the old pastels are like the very expensive professional ones, and the new ones are a little bit scratchy, like a harder pastel, if that makes any sense. So these are like the soft ones and these are like the hard ones. That's how I would describe them. When I'm a little bit better, I'll do a comparison of the different ones and then we can see how they work. A little bit of a different green now. Did that make? I hope that made sense. I think I'm actually going to put the indigo in here as well. Actually, I'm going to mix the indigo. And remember, when you put colours next to each other and on top of each other, you can blend them. So although I've only got 72 colours, I can make a lot of other colours. So if I scratch this indigo on top of this dark green, I'm going to be making a really darker green. And if I was well enough, I'd put red in there and all sorts and kind of really amp it up a bit. Let's see what other colour we've got there. So you can put the indigo down first and then put the green over the top. And then that would instantly give you two different greens, even though it's exactly the same. You're just doing it a different way around. That gives you two different, and that's with all colours. If you did that with every medium you've got, you'd get two different variations. So I'll give that a little bit of a blow. I don't know if I want brown on there, so I'm going to just wipe that off. Did that mean I didn't make sense? I'm working in the Harry Potter Magical Places and Characters colouring book, and this is Hagrid's. So I finished the little hut this morning in the first part. So I finished the hut, and now I'm starting on this section here. So I've got my little piece of paper that I was looking at the colours. Then behind there's Hagrid. I've had to put some paper because I haven't set it yet, because I might want to go in and do something with the roof when I've got the background in. And then under this piece of paper here, I've got my reference of the cottage. Here, so I can have a bit of look. And then here I've got all the pencils that I'm using, that I've picked out, so I don't have to keep going over to the pencils. They're all here ready for me. He's asleep, his little boy. Little boy is asleep. Pull that down just a little bit. So I've got my colours and I've got my and I've kind of just see what happens. I'm not sure if this will work. As I say, I've never done this before. I'm just making it up as I go along. I've played with pastels a few times. The last time I did it properly was for my O-level, which was 1978, 79 I think. And I've never played with them since. I don't think. I think we did it. I did think we did a little bit in college. So I keep wanting to get it a little bit more realistic, and then I realise it's a colour book and I can't do that. Yes, he's asleep. Although we haven't had the postman yet today. But what I might just do is have a bit of a look to see if we can get what this looks like. Since I happen to have a point on one of them. And again, you can hear the scratchiness. You can't hear that with the other books. Sorry, books, honestly. Sorry, pencils. So I'm just trying to get some little marks just to see if it would work over the top of the green. If not, I'll have to take it off with the pencil ruler, with the eraser. Let me see it together, it might look okay. What I'm going to use is this little tiny one here that has kind of a really bendy point to it. And these were from the works. Now these are really squishy and I don't like that. I would have preferred that not to be squishy. But it is. And again, if you just wipe it and stroke it on a baby wipe, it comes clean, so that's quite good. But then you really want to dry it with your thumb, and then that takes a bit more off. So this is a bit too soft. So what I'm going to do is just, all this is doing is making sure that it's not sitting on top, it's just smudged in a little bit. So at least I can blend it and hold it. But it really is such a squishy tool, it's all over the place. It's not as precise. But it is kind of just making sure that's not going to run away when I put a paintbrush on it. It's just blending it in there. I quite like that colour because it shows again. I might use this little thing in here. I could possibly use this. I can't use this for long because it hurts my hands. Because there's no give in this, it's just a solid piece of paper, so it's like a pencil really, so there's no give, but that would possibly work. It's a bit finer. Need to build up some more colour. There isn't actually, I think this is too pale, this one. Let me have a look at that. Possibly. I don't want to sharpen them really. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. I got another one last night. I was like, no, dearie. Okay then. Yeah, will do. Because if I don't stop doing that, I'm going to ruin all the videos after it and make them kind of not very good. So thanks for that. It's just sometimes you kind of, you worry, but most of the time there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. as I say, I've got to 550 subscribers, so thank you, wonderful YouTubers. Thank you for subscribing. But the more subscribers I get, I need 450 more, and I can upload in HD for free, and so the quality hopefully would be better. I'm not sure, but it won't let you do that until you have 1,000 subscribers. So, I quite like that. I quite like the colours. I'm hoping that's going to be enough to make that cottage pop out a bit. So the dark ones I'm using for the backgrounds are carmine, burnt carmine chocolate, and then I'm using that for there. They could possibly be darkened a little bit because you can hardly see them on here, really. You can't really see anything, so I think there's going to have to be a little bit more, and then I can kind of, if I really need to pop this up, I can darken it. So that's what I'm going for. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. As I say, this is a live stream with live peoples, and recorded for Ustream.tv and YouTubers for people to watch at their leisure. And I like to do a little colour thing first, and then just in case you pick the wrong one up, I just have a bit, if I can't, some of them look very, very similar, just to double check, and then a smudge, but there's not much of a smudge, so they're very clean to use. Even if you wanted to smudge them with your fingers, you could do that. I kind of like this green. I think I might want something else as it goes across, because I think we have some nice highlights here. So we'll have a puppy cam at the end, and then we don't we can kind of in fact, I might actually stop this video because it's gone on for an hour, this one, so I'll stop this one. So it's taken me an hour to get this done, so I'll zoom out a minute. Oopsie, and then let's have a look. So I've done the roof, so I did the roof, so it's a little bit darker, so I may have to play in here a little bit, so I haven't set it. I haven't set the roof or the little outhouse or this, so I've pinned a little bit of greaseproof paper, tracing paper down, so I can actually work on here quite happily and not destroy it, because I don't want to set it and then go back into working into it. So I think maybe some darker areas here, but I don't want to do that until I've got the background in, because I need the dark background to know how bright to leave these. But I'm quite enjoying that at the moment. So and again, I have my pencils here, so I can work. I know that these three are the 4 trees, the other trees are the back trees, the greens are for the leaves, and I've sorted these colours out, so I'll work with these colours all the way through the background until I get to here, because there's a different tree, so I'm going to have to introduce a different colour. But most of the background will be these colours. So that's the end of part, I think that could be part 4 actually. So thank you for watching.